Hello everyone, my name is Colin and you are watching ClassyHerps. So today I'm going to get to do a little bit of work and showing you guys some of the really unique animals that we work with over here at Manhattan Reptile World. You see she's kind of grumpy right now, but you guys probably can recognize these. These are some American classics right here. These, if you don't know already, are Gila Monsters. And they are, as I just said, they're native to America. Probably, if not the coolest American reptile, right up there with the American alligator for sure. These guys are very unique in the way that they are one of only two species, maybe three if you consider subspecies, venomous lizards in the whole world. These guys and Komodo dragons and beaded lizards, which are very closely related to these guys. They just get a little bit bigger, but they're also venomous. But these guys tend to be a little bit more toxic than the beaded lizards. Sorry. So we have 4 of these, and we legally own 4 of them. And they have all kinds of special permits that you have to have because these guys are critically endangered down where they're native, kinda in the Southwest America, like Arizona. These are desert animals, so they come from a place that's very hot, very dry. You can kind of tell by just looking at them that they would fit in a place like that. They have those really rough, thick scales. And that's kind of something that's really unique about these guys is that you see on their heads there just how bumpy that is. They're one of the only animals in the entire animal kingdom that does not have a smooth skull. If you Google a picture of their skulls, you'll see that that's actually what they look like. No one really knows why, but they have those giant calcified lumps all over their skulls that give them that bony look. It's not over the rest of their body, just on their skulls, which is pretty unique. But like I was saying, these guys are a very unique lizard because not only are they venomous, but they're critically endangered. So like I'd put them up there with the bald eagle on like how protected these things really need to be in the wild. There's very few of them. But these were captive bred. We have all the paperwork to prove it and everything. So not only are we licensed to own these kind of venomous animals, but we have the registration for each and every Gila monster that we own to show that it was not a wild-caught animal, so that we can show where these guys came from. So I'm pretty sure that we are the only people in Kansas that legally own these things anyway. You could get in a lot of federal trouble if you don't have all of the correct paperwork. But we do, and so we're pretty excited to be working with these guys here. I've been working with them now for about 2.5 years or so, and let me tell you, when I first got them, they were nowhere near this tame. I would not be doing anything like this when I first got them. They would try to bite me at any given opportunity. They'd just sit there with their mouths open, just gaping at you. And you can see here, kind of underneath of his jaw, he's got these big, kind of puffy sacs. And those big puffy sacs are his venom glands. And those venom glands work a lot differently than venomous snakes do. So these guys don't have fangs. In his mouth he just has a whole bunch of the same kind of teeth. They're kind of short, blunt teeth. Well, not blunt, they're very sharp. And when he bites on, he's not going to let go. His jaw, as you can see, is in his head up here. He's got a lot of jaw muscle. When he bites, those teeth are going to sink in, and that venom that's just seeping into his saliva is just going to start seeping into the cuts that his teeth put in your skin. And let me tell you, this venom is definitely not something that is to be taken lightly. It is probably the most painful venom in the animal kingdom. It was developed entirely to make you hurt, not to kill you, because what's unique about these guys and their venom is that they do not use it to hunt. They'll only eat things that can't really run away from them, that they don't have to try to hunt. So they're going to eat things like baby mice, eggs, so they'll go into a mice den, and once the adults run away, they'll eat the babies. And so that venom that they have is purely defensive in the way that if a predator comes up to mess with them, they get a bite from that, you are never going to be messing with another Gila monster. It's a lesson learned kind of thing. It's not meant to kill you. So people say it's kind of like if you were to replace your blood with battery acid or so and light it on fire for like a week or so. That's what it feels like, and there is no anti-venom to this, so you really just kind of have to wait it out. But like I was saying, when I first got them, they were very skittish. They were aggressive. You can see here, he's still trying to kind of bite me, but you see I'm very comfortable free handling him in the way that he doesn't exactly perceive me as a threat anymore. I mean, he is obviously very aware, like all venomous animals, of what he is capable of doing, and so he's not going to let me mess with him, and I obviously still have to watch him very carefully so that I don't end up in a world of pain for a long time. But he's not taking like wild swings at me. He is adjusted to me. He is not perceiving me as a threat anymore. He really just kind of wants me to leave him alone. And so you see, one thing about these guys that I always found interesting, over other lizards of their size, a lot of the times when you have these kind of small to medium-sized lizards, they tend to be kind of scared and they really just want to hide when you put them in the open floor. These guys will walk directly towards you. They are one of the most confident animals that I have worked with. I'd put them up there like with the confidence of like a black-throat monitor in the way that they approach you. They're not scared. They know what they're capable of. Beautiful animals too. That's the next thing I'm going to point out here. Is there are two kind of genetic variations. I don't know if you'd really consider them morphs, but you can kind of see the difference here. This one over here that's kind of a little bit more pale is a male, not that it makes any difference, and the one in my left hand is a female. And the one in my right hand over here, the female is what they call a reticulated. So they just kind of have this wavy reticulated pattern, and reticulated just refers to the type of patterning that's going on there. It's a shape just like something you'd call like a circular shape. It's a reticulated shape, and so that's what she is. And then he over here, as you can see, he's kind of got a different pattern. That's the banded, so you can kind of see those horizontal bands that go across his back there. And so we have a pair of both. We have a male and a female banded and a male and a female reticulated, and we are hoping to breed them. I have actually seen them breed this past season. I really hope that my females are pregnant, but at this time of the season I haven't seen any eggs yet, and it's a little bit late in the season, so I think I might have missed it. But these guys are definitely up there as one of the hardest captive animals to breed. And which just kind of goes to like why they're so critically endangered. But I hope eventually to be able to, contribute to the captive population and make a bunch of these little baby Gila monsters, because they can have 10, 15 eggs a year, if they're pregnant and healthy. So ours are very healthy. The general kind of rule for telling the health of most lizards, especially lizards like these guys that store fat in their tails, just like a leopard gecko would, is by looking at their tails. And if their tail is at least as thick as their hips, that point between their legs right here, then you can tell that it's healthy, because this is where they store all their fat. And ours are definitely over that thickness, so they're a little bit on the chubby side, but that's not a bad thing. They're just healthy. These guys don't eat very much. They only eat about once a week. I'll feed them adult mice because they will eat them in captivity. Dead ones, frozen thawed I should say. They will not hunt things. It's kind of interesting. They're such lazy animals. They like to sleep about like 95% of their life, and then in the rainy season, in the early summer or so, they'll come out and they'll just gorge themselves and then make babies. But yeah, very, very lethargic animals, but beautiful at the same time. Do you have any questions, Kurt?
So, what part of North America are they from, or?
Down in like Arizona, down the area. They can find them all the way down kind of into Mexico, and there's like I mentioned earlier, a subspecies that's very closely related to them, the Mexican beaded lizard, that gets about almost twice the size that they do, and they are venomous, but I don't think they're quite as venomous as a Gila monster, which is kind of their northern cousin. But yeah, so Southwest America is pretty where they're from, and which to me is very cool because we don't have a lot of really cool reptiles here other than like alligators, and there's a few things, but most of them are just little lizards that you see like run across the ground real quick. We don't have any of these real cool things like you see on other continents. But these guys are definitely one of the most unique animals in the world, and I'm pretty proud to say that they're from a country that I live in.
Cool thing about their mouth too, it's completely black on the inside.
Yeah, and their tongues are purple. If you can kind of see that. I wish I was trying to get one to actually open its mouth so you could see that, but when they were younger and I first got them, they would just sit there with their mouths gaping open, just like trying to show off, like, hey, look what I have. I can really mess you up. But now, like, even trying to make him angry, I can't even get him to open his mouth at me. So obviously he's very well adjusted to captivity and me handling him. Very healthy. Some of my favorite reptiles here at the store. Not something I get out a whole lot, but enough that obviously he's used to me, and one of my most proud projects, I would say, just because of the uniqueness of it. And I am pretty sure we're the only people in Kansas that legally own these. And the fact that I've been able to actually get them to copulate was pretty cool. So I just kind of wanted to show one last thing before we left off here, where these guys live. So I've got this really big tank right here with some really thick substrate, and I keep them all in a group right here, and they like to bury themselves. You can see one of them's completely under the water below over there. And I do give them water, but being a desert species, it can actually be harmful to them to give them constant water, because they would never have access to constant standing water in the wild. That if they do, they can overhydrate and they can get scale rot from laying in it. Because when they find water, instinctually they want to stay there because they don't encounter it very often, and so they'll just lay in it constantly and get all nasty. So you have to let them dry out. It's just their natural conditions. And like I said earlier, they spend about 95% of their lives underground sleeping, and that's buried. So they like to dig, they go away, they come out every now and then to eat. That's about it, though. I just wanted to show you guys where they lived.
So they don't require any like UVB or anything?
Nope, they don't require any UVB at all. Because they'd never really come out to bask, they just don't. They do need to be hot, but they escape the heat most of the time in the daytime. So, I mean, I keep half of their cage at about 100 degrees and the other side at room temperature, about 70 or so. And they actually tend to stay on the cool side of the cage. So I think that even though they come from a very hot place, they don't really like to be hot, so they're going to try to go places to get away from it. So no, they're not going to be basking in the sunlight, requiring that. More like a leopard gecko, kind of. Thanks for watching. Until next time, you've been watching Classy Herps.